Dr. Rick Wallace here, dropping in on you on a very serious note to talk about something that I am immensely passionate about. As you can see, I'm still working out of the home office. I haven't went back to the primary office return for this year, hoping I'll be in a situation where I can do it. There's a lot going on around the house that needs me present. But the good thing is right now, no one's actually in the house. So normally where everything is lit, it's pretty quiet. And barring someone's lawn service kicking off, we should be able to get through this without any external interruptions. Look, I'm about to show you a video. This video isn't new. It's been around before, but someone forwarded it to me with questions, what do we do about it? I want you to check this out. Now, I initially thought about putting the entire video, because the video was actually relaunched with commentary from Abba and Preach. I don't know if you've heard of that channel, but it's two brothers and they talk about things from a pretty neat perspective. What changed my mind about adding them into it, number one, is I don't know if they have their stuff copyright protected on YouTube, and I don't want to take a copyright strike. Number two, there were some points in it where they were taking pretty much a hopeless position. You know, outside of saying something on their channel, there wasn't a whole lot that can be done about it. I don't believe that is the case. Anyway, what you're about to see are two different situations where young ladies get out of their car at a gas station to get gas, and they are harassed by a bunch of young black males who are there and immensely disrespectful, out of pocket, and should be checked. And I'm going to come back immediately after you watch these short clips, and I'm going to give you my take on this and why it's so important that we get behind things like the Black Men Lead Rite of Passage initiative. So check this out.
We're not gonna touch it. I think you came here for me.
We clowns don't get sweated around this motherfucker. Yeah, you came with a circle full of pimps. You better get it.
All right. Unfortunately, that's not an anomaly. Unfortunately, that's not some situation that just came out of nowhere and you'll probably never see it again. And it's, man, where do you find those stupid dudes at? This is unfortunately what we're beginning to see over the last 10, 12, 15 years from young black males. Don't get me wrong. There's always been a problem with black men being disrespectful to black women, or men being misogynistic and disrespectful to women, period. I don't want to make it seem like everything was just great for women, or black women specifically, before this latest spiraling decline. There's always been a problem, and I've always addressed it, and I've always been very firm in my position that we are failing as men to provide the right opportunities and the most proper environments for black women. I've been called a simp. I've been called a bunch of other things by men who believe that black women are fair game and you can say anything, do anything, and behave any kind of way with them. It is what it is. I believe that black men are to set the environment, to set the standard, and then to operate accordingly. I believe even in situations where women aren't carrying themselves in the best of ways, I believe that black men who are sure of themselves, black men who have an identity, black men who understand who we are, know it's our responsibility to hold the standard. We are the standard bearers. We are the flag bearers of what should be acceptable in our communities. We don't enforce that by degrading those who don't measure up to it. We don't enforce that by looking at our women as objects. We don't enforce that by being misogynistic and in the sense of these videos, outright terroristic, and expect to have any type of growth or progress in our communities. Right now we have started, I want to get this out of the way. Right now we have started our first targeted fundraiser of the year. we're always raising funds in a general sense for the ISA project, but right now we're raising funds to expand the reach and the focus of the Black Men Lead Rite of Passage initiative, because without it, what you see in that video is only going to get worse. I am constantly bombarded by requests by single Black mothers with Black sons to work with their children. I am constantly bombarded by single Black mothers to intercede on behalf of young Black males who have found themselves caught up in the system. I am constantly bombarded by young Black mothers who are afraid their young Black boys are going off the deep edge and they don't know what to do about it. That is literally a daily affair. Let's talk about what happened in the video, and I'm gonna tell you what has to be done. What happened in the video is a reflection of Black men not being in a position to model Black manhood at a level that, number one, provides the model and the challenge for young Black males to become something worthy of the title Black man. It is a reflection of our failure to properly socialize and prepare young Black males for male maturity in our situation, Black male maturity. And what we have witnessed over the last 15 to 20 years is a rapid, sharp decline in any type of respectful behavior when it comes to Black women. Don't get me wrong, there's so much more to being a Black man than what happens between a Black man and a Black woman, but it starts there. If you can't see the manhood of a male in the way he handles a woman, you're not going to see it anywhere else. If you can't see it in an inherent need to protect, not because she's doing everything she's supposed to be, but just a natural inherent desire to be a protector of women and children, not to look for excuses to be disrespectful. Now, the one thing that I noticed about both of the young ladies in these videos is they were respectful in their attire. Looked like they were going out, but they were respectful. Both of them had dresses that went past their knees. Nothing about them was inviting. And here's the thing, even if they were wearing something skimpy, it does not invite you to invade their space. That is a violation. In no place, in no time, in any way has in violating somebody's space been acceptable. Yet there they are talking about don't touch her, but you're literally rubbing against her with your body and you're in her space. And while she may have been smiling, she was afraid, she was uncomfortable, and she was just hoping not to incite rage, because she's probably seen the situation in some instance, whether it be on social media. Maybe she's experienced it before, maybe it happened to a friend, but she's seen how it can get worse, how it can go from being that to being extremely violent and attacking her because she didn't respond the way they thought she should. All of this is unacceptable. And the reason that I did not put what Auburn Preach put down, because they were saying, well, what, if I were at that situation, I wouldn't intervene. Why? Because it's 15 of them and it's one of me, and it wouldn't end good for me. And they're probably right, because cowards will take advantage of the situation where they're being checked by one person and their numbers are high to behave the same way they're behaving with her disrespectfully towards the other person. And it could end up in them being severely injured or even killed. But does that mean we cower? Does that mean that we simply surrender our communities to this type of savage behavior? Absolutely not. We're going to have to reclaim it. One of the reasons that I'm constantly in the hood is because there has to be a code. I don't care what you claim. I don't care what clique you plugged into. I don't care what set you repping. I don't care any of that. That's got to be a standard of manhood that protects the ladies and the kids. It has to be. We'll deal with all the other things, the criminality and all that other stuff in a minute. Y'all want to bang against each other, we'll deal with that separately. But there has to be a code that starts with that a simple thing. And the number one principle in Black Man Lead, when we're teaching and training young Black males, the principle of manhood, the number one principle, a Black man never causes harm to a Black woman, emotionally, psychologically, or physically. Never. It doesn't depend on where she's at. It depends on your manhood. Your manhood will not allow you to cause a female harm. With the one exception being she literally is in a position to cause you physical harm and you have to defend yourself. Other than that, Absolutely not. And that's just the beginning, but that it starts there. It starts with that. And we have failed, and we will continue to see situations like that until we start to do something different. We can talk about it, we can respond, oh my God, shaking my head, and all the other responses that you typically get when you see something like this. That doesn't change it. What changes it? You got to go in the community and you've got to strategically infringe upon the natural course of action, which is a decline in proper behavior on young black males. Why? Because there's an absence of proper modeling. There's an absence of socialization. We are going to have to fill that gap. We're going to have to step in. When I started over 20 years ago to seek out to answer one specific question, what is at the core of the height and rise of African American adolescent and young adult male violence? It set me on a course, and what I discovered was we're not properly socializing our young black males. We're not preparing them to be men in this society. We're not preparing them to empower themselves with knowledge, with understanding, with a collective unity to work together for the betterment of the community. We haven't created in them a desire to move in unity for the sake of the community. They are in competition with themselves. They're in many times competition with our women. They're in many times at odds with our women, and they are frustrated and they are acting out. And we have a responsibility and some accountability and culpability in it all. And it's not until we decide that we're going to move in two ways. Number one is we're going to start engaging the adolescent and young adult males. We're going to start infringing upon them. We're going to have to start establishing unified fronts in our community that addresses these issues with force if necessary. And then we're going to have to start taking our younger black boys, which is through our rite of passage program, which I designed and created and developed for this purpose. At the age of 4, they begin this process of development where they learn what the responsibilities are. Not just being taught and told, but by being able to watch men who are operating in their roles respectfully and properly, how that looks. How do we deal with women? Here's the thing. How do we deal with women when we're at odds with women? See, it's easy when the woman is doing everything you want her to do. It's easy when you're on the same page. But see, that's not life. Life doesn't end that way. I can tell you for a fact that as much as I love my marriage, me and my wife aren't always on the same page. But how I deal with her is a reflection of the level of maturity and the place I am in my manhood, that I can deal with her without raising my voice, without screaming, without calling her out of her name, without cursing or any of those things. I can get my point across. And at the end of the day, if it's still not working, I can sit down with a calmness and say, we'll discuss it later. At no point will I ever allow myself to disrespect my wife or my daughters or any other black woman for the sake. I would rather just remove myself from the situation and then deal with it at that particular point. But that comes from the proper development, the right type of socialization, the desire to be the best man I can be. The desire to be a representation of what I want in a man that's going to take the hand of my daughter. Now, what I can tell you is we're sitting around, we're playing around. Every time we talk about getting behind something like this, it's a whole bunch of likes, a whole bunch of clicks, a whole bunch of comments, but no true investment, no true volunteers, no true donations and contributions. I'm literally talking none. I'm talking about everything I've done with this program, with the exception of maybe $2,000 in 20 years, has been done by me. And we can't do that. I'm going to tell you what's happening. We are talking a good game, and we are literally breeding young black boys that are killing our sons are literally killing our daughters. One of the leading causes of death for a black female between the age of 15 and 44 is intimate partner homicide. Intimate partner violence in the black community is off the charts. This is not in any way a marginalization of the struggles and the situations and issues that the black man faces in this country, which are many and which are intense. This is specifically focused on the need for the black man to know who his enemy is. Even when he and those within the community are not on the same page, we must operate and understand we cannot bring harm to one another and ever be able to be in a position of power. We are going to have to develop a literal ideology, values, interests, and principles, a literal idea of what it means to be a man, and it's going to be reflected first and foremost in how we handle our women. I remember over 25 years ago, I was talking to someone that I respected a great deal, person slightly older than me, maybe 5-6 years older than me, and was prevalent in the community, very well respected in the community, and was almost, even though we were not that far apart in age, almost like a father figure to me. And I asked him about someone that we had just come in contact with. They were new to us, but they were going to be playing a major role in something that we had going on. And I asked him what he thought about him. He says, the jury is still out. I haven't met his wife yet. And I said, what does his wife have to do with it? And his response was, you can discern the character of a man by measuring and observing the countenance of his wife. Literally, you can look at the face of a woman when her husband's name is mentioned. You can look at the behavior and how she positions herself, the look on her face. And when his name is mentioned, it'll tell you how he handles her and how he treats her. If he's not handling home right, I don't care what he presents, he's a problem. Home is first. Marriage is first, wife is first, and then we work outward from there. It doesn't mean that the woman is perfect. It doesn't mean that there may not be a situation where the relationship isn't viable or savable. What it means that is in any condition, you do not bring physical harm to that woman. You do not mishandle, mistreat her. If you can't grow with her, if you can't build with her, if it can't be something solid, you remove yourself from the equation as respectfully, as calmly as possible. You regroup, you regather yourself, you do any healing that is necessary, and you move forward. But what you don't do is take your anger and your force out. But what I'm telling you is that can only happen when you've been properly socialized. That can only happen when you, now don't get me wrong, there are some women out there that are literally going for the jugular, especially emotionally and legally, on black men and pushing them to the edge. But what I'm saying is, when you know who you are, you can't be broken. You can't be pushed over the edge. See, when you're pushed over the edge, nobody wins. Everybody loses when you go over the edge. For a moment of gratification, that's literally seconds, lives are changed forever, and nothing but damage and devastation is left in the wake. You got to learn how to say, okay, that wasn't a good decision. I'm going to pull myself away from it. I'm going to regroup, and I'm going to move forward, and I'm going to be in the best position possible. If I'm going to do it again, to do it right. But if I don't do it again, I'm still going to carry a level of love and respect for black women because I understand their role. Now, again, there's going to be a conversation that we're going to be having about the need for black women to grow, the need for black women to evolve, the need for a lot of the hostility and hatred that we see and the bitterness that we see to stop. See, we love to point fingers at one another. It's your fault. It's your fault. But the one thing I'm telling you as a man that really gets under my skin is to see a black man blaming a black woman for anything. If you're saying you're the leader, if you're saying you're the king, if you're saying that you're the person, well, if you're the king, if you're the leader, if you're the head of the household, the buck stops with you. You don't get head coaches getting to blame the players because they went without a win for the season. Yeah, it's the players on the field. The players are the ones that didn't deliver. But guess who's going to be held accountable? The head. You can't go to any company and have the CEO going, man, they out there, I gave them the plan. They just not following it. I don't know what to do. There's some sorry employees. There's some sorry VPs. No. Starts with the head. And it takes a set of skills that are developed and nurtured by being under the mentorship of more mature men to understand how to lead. You don't lead by force. You don't lead by imposing your will. You lead by building trust. You lead by sitting up and putting yourself in a situation where those you are leading trust that even when you're wrong, you will find a way to make things right. I'm going to leave you with this. When my grandparents, I was reared by my great grandparents. I was literally reared by my grandmother's parents. And I remember there was a disagreement one time, and the disagreements in the house were rare between those two. While he was the head of the household, she made most of the decisions. She did everything. But when there was a time where there was a disagreement and there was an absolute choice to be made, he made the decision. And that was a decision made that she didn't agree with. And it was something that if she chose not to do it his way, he probably would not have found out unless something went wrong. But she could have done it because he had to drop out of school in the second grade to work the fields. He was the son of a sharecropper he was born in 1909. So he had to work in the fields from 7 years old up. So he didn't have the ability to go back and read what had happened and know what she did or what she didn't do. And so I told her that. And I said, well, why are you doing it? If it's really bothering you that bad, just do it and tell him you did it. You know, I was a kid, maybe 8 or 9 years old. Do it, you tell him you did it. She said, no, he's the head. And this is what I could tell you about the head. No matter who does something wrong, the head is going to get the blame. And if he's going to get the blame, he should make the decision. But I say, but what if he's wrong? She said, it wouldn't be the first time that he was wrong. She said, but you know why? I always follow his lead. And I said, why? She says, because even if he's wrong, he will fix it. He earned my trust. So I don't need him to be right every time. I just need him when he's wrong to come back and make it right. And he does that. But see, that is something you have to earn. You have to be willing to show, I got you. What I can tell you is, while there are some women out there that need a lot of healing, the vast majority, if you give them an environment where they feel safe, they will fall under your covering. Even the ones that's bucking, even the one talking yap, even the ones saying all the stuff they say. If you create an environment where you provide something for them that they can't provide for themselves, and that's safety and security in a number of different ways, they will find a place under you. Doesn't mean it's going to always be easy and comfortable. What it will mean is it's respectful. And as men, you understand what I'm saying. There's nothing we value more than respect. Before love, before any of that other stuff, we want to be respected. But see, that comes by creating an environment, number one, where we don't tolerate disrespect. But not tolerating disrespect doesn't mean because you didn't do what I say, you disrespect. No, you know what disrespect is. If you don't, then you need to be properly socialized. Look, we're going to be dealing with this. But this week, we are pushing to raise funds so that we can really put this program where it needs to be, so that I can start taking on some of these challenges that have been put on my desk to work with a lot of these young men. That doesn't come easy, and it's definitely not free. We are looking to raise $10,000 this week. I got 7,000 subscribers who have at least one friend. There's no way that we shouldn't be able to do this. Not if we're seriously talking about black empowerment and not just sitting up soaking and moving around social media for good conversation and seeing who sounds most intellectual and who is the best scholar and all this other bull crap that I see going on that absolutely gets nowhere and has no intrinsic value. I don't even care who claims what I do, long as my work fulfills its purpose. So again, I'm challenging you. Everybody who gives this week will receive a certificate of appreciation. Anybody who gives over $100 will receive a Black Men Lead hoodie. And you'll be if you give them $100, you'll be contacted to ask what size you want, and we'll get that ready for you and we'll ship it out. But look, here's the thing. What we saw in that video is far too common, and I got baby girls going out, and I'm pretty sure if the car's not full, they're gonna have to some point get out and put gas in their car. That's not what I want them to run into. But if we don't look out, it's gonna be worse than that. They're gonna bring one of them dummies home on that note, look, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you guys for stopping by.